First of all, I'm very humbled and honored to give the opening keynote for the first in-person conference for Support Logic. We've been passionate about support experience, the concept of support experience for years. And we knew that in order to change the industry, in order to make an impact in how people look at support, we have to create a movement. We have to create a category. And that's what really inspired us to start SX Live Community and the SX Live virtual conferences, which we've been doing for the last 2 years, and numerous city tours that we've been doing for the last 2 years as well. But as Joe mentioned in the beginning, our original plan was to do this as an in-person event. We firmly believe the chemistry, the connection, the learnings, the interaction that you get in person is not comparable to any virtual event. So we're super thrilled and excited that we're doing this in-person event for the very first time for the company's history. I want to start my keynote with the founding story of Support Logic. So this is the actual whiteboard that we scribbled many years, just few blocks away from this building. Support Logic was founded in 2016 in downtown San Jose, just a few blocks away from where we are right now. And this is the actual whiteboard that we scribbled, original concept idea for Support Logic. So we had a founding thesis for the company. We firmly believed in three things. We firmly believed in these three things very early in 2016. So what did we believe in? The first and foremost, that a firm belief that we have as a company is we believe that experience is everything. We firmly believe that companies that deliver outstanding experiences are going to be the winners in the long run. There are companies which can do relatively well for a short period of time. Maybe you have a great product, maybe you have a great market fit. But for you to survive and sustain in the industry for a really long time, experience plays a very important role, and we firmly believe in that. The second thesis for Support Logic, which may seem counterintuitive for a few, but hopefully not for this particular crowd, we firmly believe that support is a revenue center. It's not a cost center. And time again, we see many companies treat support as a cost center. They treat it as, it's something I need to have to prevent engineering and product team to be bombarded with questions. I'm going to put a firewall in front of the company, and that's support team. That's how many companies perceive. But with time, they realize it's actually a lot more than that. Support is actually a revenue center. If you really listen to your voice of your customer and pay attention to it, it's going to be a revenue center. But last but not least, in 2016, we thought the AI technology has arrived. Now, technology industry moves at a lightning pace, right? So 6 years or 8 years in industry, it's a long time. I distinctly remember in 2016, AI was not mainstream news. Today, you see AI in all mainstream news. It's the talk of the town. Back in 2016, it's probably a footnote in any technology website you go to. It was not mainstream. But we saw the promise of artificial intelligence back in 2016. A lot of companies today are surprised by the capabilities of what ChatGPT does. They're very surprised by what OpenAI is doing, right? For us, it is not a surprise. We saw the trend line back in 2016. In fact, some of the foundational capabilities that you are getting from ChatGPT and OpenAI today, we experimented with it in 2016. So we knew where the industry was going. So for us, it's an evolution, it's not a revolution. So this was the founding thesis. And when we actually embraced AI as early as 2016, we started using this technology called BERT, which is a precursor for GPT, which is what ChatGPT is powered by. So we saw the promise of BERT. But more importantly, we felt like this is the right technology for the right problem. Often companies focus on technology and forget the purpose, what they're trying to accomplish. You have to have a right match between technology and the problem that you're solving, and we felt AI was the right technology at the right time. So I see the industry in a very different lens. I've been in the support industry since 1999, and I've seen a few decades of how the support industry has evolved. My first support CRM was Siebel, and I've seen how Siebel has transformed into Service Cloud, and now people are using Freshworks, Zendesk, and we're in a different era right now. But also saw transition of every aspect of your business. Back in 1990s, SQL was the hottest technology. A lot of applications was built around SQL, right? Business applications were built around SQL. Back in 2000s, it was all about the web. Anybody is in Silicon Valley knows all the hype that happened in the web in 2000s. In 2010, it's Web 2.0, it's big data, it's mobile computing, all of that. Now we are in the AI era, clearly in the AI era. But also the way we're storing data, the focus was on structured data before. And then that transition from structured to flexible schemas. One of the key innovations that Salesforce did in the industry is making the schema extensible. It's not a fixed schema. You can extend it to your business needs. Then it became semi-structured data in the last 15 years. Now we're the very first time in the industry, we have technology to process unstructured data. The way we develop software has changed. The way we sell our software has changed. The way we license our software has changed. The way we grow our business also has dramatically changed. We used to do sales-led. Everything is around sales-led, right? There's a reason Salesforce is called Salesforce, because everything revolves around sales, right? And then that transition into marketing-led when the internet opened doors to entry point into many customers. Then it became product-led. And now we're moving to the industry where support-led or service-led is going to transform the industry, right? This is the natural evolution of what we see in the industry. So clearly we moved from SQL era to SaaS era to Web 2.0 era, and now we are in the intelligence era, right? And that's why this conference exists today. It's about support, but also about how artificial intelligence can be leveraged for support. So one of the core things that at SupportLogic from the early days, what we focus on is we fundamentally believe that every customer conversation has intelligence. But you need to know how to find those intelligence, how to harness that intelligence, and how to do that at scale. So this is a regular day in a support. Some unhappy customer, some apologetic support engineer, what's new? When I've done that, I've done support, I've done escalations. Almost every customer I've spoken to has been unhappy, right? So what's new? What's new is that within the language the customer uses, there are hidden signals, and there are thousands of hidden signals you can get if you use the right language analysis on those signals. This is what foundationally we do at SupportLogic. So let me run through the animation. So this is just a simple email conversation between a customer and a support engineer with technologies powered by AI, natural language processing. We can extract plethora of signals. We're not just talking about negative sentiments and positive sentiments. We are talking about deep sentiment analysis, deep signals, lack of progress, frustration, documentation gap, critical issue, urgency, profanity, confusion, so on and so forth. But we don't stop there. There are signals about your product, very, very specific to your product ecosystem. We can extract signals about what technology the customers are using, what browser they're using, what operating system they're using, what version number, firmware version number, so on and so forth. But also we can extract signals from outbound communications. At any point in time in your organization, there are multiple people in different departments or in constant communication with your customers. Are these folks saying the right things to the customers? Are your customer-facing people, are they have empathy? Are they being polite? Are they moving the conversation forward? Are they having a meaningful interactions with customers, or are they just going back and forth? Natural language processing technology allows you to extract those signals. So we call it as agent signals. Our definition of agent is broad. It's not just about support agent. It's anyone who's interacting with the customer on your behalf as an agent. But it's not sufficient to extract the signals. You have to maintain context of the signals across conversational boundaries. This is absolutely crucial for any business which is serving other business. If you're a B2C, it's a different story. In a B2B environment, absolutely essential that you have context. Context is everything. Because you're not interacting with the customers one time. Your interaction with the customers is a continuous journey. Even though your customers may be interacting with different people within your organization during their lifetime, stitching together all that context together and having a unified view is very important. So we do many context stuff: sentiment score, attention score, account health score. What is the quality of interactions that your agents are having with your customers? What's the likelihood the customer is going to escalate? What's the likelihood the customer will churn? Who's the right subject matter expert within the company who can handle that issue? We can extract all of this context and provide contextual intelligence. To top it off, with the advent of generative AI, now we can do summarization. We can summarize all of these conversations, thousands of conversations you're having with your customers, but what is the net summary of it? What is the health of my account? The 5 things I need about an account when I go talk to an account? That we can do summarization. So we're not just talking about case level summarization, we're talking about account level summarization. We're not just talking about the interactions within the case data, we're talking about interactions with email or phone calls or Zoom calls, what are maybe the mode of communication. This is the founding vision of SupportLogic, and it's still the founding execution of what SupportLogic does every day. So let me elevate the picture a little bit. So today, if you're looking at your post-sales interactions, you are capturing them in siloed systems of record. Some of these conversations are in your CRM system, some of them are in your messaging system, some of them are in voice conversations. Maybe you record those voice calls, or you transcribe them, or you don't. Some of them are in your survey responses from your customers, and some of them are in your customer success platform. And then this is divvied up in your organization today between onboarding, support, product teams, services teams, success teams, and education, right? There's a lot of different silos within your organizations which are capturing this interaction data. And in many cases, they are in even siloed ticketing system, not even a centralized ticketing system. They are in different parts of the ticketing system. To add more complexity, we are interacting with customers in different channels: email, portal, chat, voice. If this is not enough, now we added more complexity. Now you can interact with your customers with a human agent, or you can interact with your customers using a virtual agent. Chatbots are here. Chatbots are not going away. You're going to interact with your customers, whether it's marketing or sales or support or survey. There could be chatbots that are interacting with your customers. So the key thing here is, are you listening to your customers? What are you doing to monitor your customer interactions? What are you doing to understand what the customers are telling you, whether they're telling to a human agent or they're telling to a virtual agent? This is the vision of SupportLogic. We are a monitoring layer. We are an observability layer. Doesn't matter what system of record you use. Doesn't matter what telephony system you use. Doesn't matter which functional group is doing it. Doesn't matter you're using a bot or a human being. You need to listen to the voice of the customer. This is foundational. If you don't listen to your customers, what are you building? Great companies in the history have perished when they don't listen to the voice of the customers. This is the biggest threat businesses face today. This is what fundamentally every customer is fighting. How do I stay relevant with my customers, right? This is the founding principle of what we do at SupportLogic, and we firmly believe in that. Today specifically, I'm going to talk about forces that are impacting our business. Artificial intelligence is a very disruptive force. And we're going to talk a lot about artificial intelligence today. The second force is we just moved from perpetual licensing model to a subscription model, which had a tremendous impact in how you retain your customers, churn, all of the challenges. And now we're transitioning into a usage-based pricing model. In fact, artificial intelligence is forcing a lot of companies to really think about usage-based pricing model. This has impact for your post-sales team. Why? Previously, when you were selling perpetual licenses, unhappy customer, not an issue. You sold the licenses, you made your money, you're moving on to the next customer. In subscription model, you need to worry about a customer at least once a year before renewal, right? You want to prevent that churn, the dreadful churn, you want to prevent it. With usage-based, you need to worry about a customer every day. Because if your customers are not using your product, not only your adoption suffers and you enter into a churn risk, also you're not getting paid. The usage stops, collection stops. So this is a fundamental transformation in the industry that's tremendous impact in how you need to think about support, how you need to think about your post-sale operations. The last force that has been more recent in the industry is efficient growth. Companies across the globe, irrespective of which size it is, whether it's a public company with trillions of dollars of valuation or a small startup just getting off the ground, across the board there is pressure to do efficient growth. Silicon Valley is known for growth at any cost, right? That news has changed in the last few years. It's about efficient growth. So when you are talking about efficient growth, you think about not only top line with the bottom line. The combination matters, how efficiently grown matters. And experience is a crucial part of all of this. If you don't deliver a great experience to your customers are going to churn, go to a different company that provides a better experience. If your experience is subpar, usage adoption is subpar, so which means you're not getting paid enough. So it has tremendous impact in all of this. We foundationally believe that support experience is the glue that connects all of this. I'll explain why this is a glue that connects all of this. So let's talk about experience a little bit. Early 2000, the differentiation for a company is we are in the cloud, so we're different. That's your moat. The first person goes to the cloud became a moat. A lot of companies on-prem software and solution went to the cloud as a differentiation. Oops. Second one is data became the differentiation. Then AI. Now we are in the era of, let me build this out, the era of experience. So it's no longer sufficient that you have AI technology, no longer sufficient that you're a cloud business, no longer sufficient that you have a lot of data. Everybody has data, everybody has access to AI. The differentiator in the long run is going to be experience. So the way we see it is, support experience is one single investment that you can make that lifts multiple boats in your organization. When you invest in support experience, you're automatically improving your product experience. Products are changing and evolving at a much furious pace right now. Software is getting released every few weeks, every few months. So there will be issues in your product. You have to elevate your support experience to improve your product experience. Support becomes the brand experience for many companies. If you are a company that does product-led growth model, which means your customers try your product before they buy it, the first person they're going to contact, and often in this case, is going to be support. And if that experience is poor, your brand experience is impacted straight away. The other connection many people don't realize is that support experience impacts your employee experience. The most stressful companies are the companies that handles escalations every day and impacts the stress levels, not only your support staff, your engineering staff, your execs in the company. And people quit. They don't want to deal with that stress. So there is statistic that shows a strong correlation between escalations and attrition. right? So this actually is an investment in your employees as well. You want to reduce the stress levels. Everybody wants to do real fun stuff. They don't want to deal with unhappy customers all the time. So this one single investment brings benefits in multiple different departments. And overall, you're elevating your customer experience. But it doesn't stop there. What about your CFO? Your CFO cares about some very important financial metrics, rightfully so, in the era of efficient growth that we are in right now. They care about net dollar retention. They care about operating margins. They care about your lifetime value. They care about the Rule of 40. Rule of 40 is a rule many CFOs use, which basically says that your growth rate and your margin, if you add them together, should be greater than 40. And if you're below Rule of 40, stock market doesn't reward you today. In fact, in the recent past, the Rule of 40 became Rule of 60. So the bar has gone up even more. So the support experience investment you're making improves your net dollar retention. When you have happy customers, likelihood of renewal goes up. Your margins becomes better because you have fewer people to service a lot more customers at scale, and you're not firefighting all the time and wasting your resources on firefighting. Your LTV goes up because the biggest referral for your business is your happy customers. So investing in support experience, you're investing in your acquisition cost, customer acquisition cost, and Rule of 40. So this is what we are seeing, and this is why it's not a surprise for us that many companies have started a lot of priorities on improving their support experience, including what many would consider as companies which are laggards in the industry are waking up and realizing this is something they need to invest in. So we looked at a Gartner study. The chart on the right-hand side is a study from Gartner that shows what are the top priorities for businesses in a very broad category of digital technology investments. And this was a very recent study in June 2024. What is on top of mind for CIOs in any business? The first two categories that came in the list was we want to improve the margins. At the same time, we want to improve our customer experience. Now, this may seem very counterintuitive. What you're talking about, I need to improve margins and also retain customer experience. How can you do it, right? This is possible with a technology like support experience. When you're investing in support experience, you're improving your margins, you're also reducing your escalations, you're focusing on more happy customers. It fixes both problems. And this is why this has become a conversation for CIOs. It's no longer a conversation just for CCOs. It's a conversation for CIOs. It's a conversation for CFOs. BCG did a study recently, and they looked at, okay, this is so important for businesses, and technology has arrived. Where do we apply AI technology? And if you look at this slide, this is pretty dense. And we didn't change the formatting of this. We just kept it as it is, just to show the density of things you can do in support. This is just looking at support. We're not talking about general post-sales operations. There's so much stuff to do. Most companies are picking one or two of these use cases. They're not looking at all those use cases. And you're going to get a lot of value even in investing in one of those two use cases. But as an industry, we are playing early innings. There's a lot more to do in this industry, a lot more efficiency to be gained, a lot more advancements to be made. We're just scratching the surface. So clearly, we're going through an AI cycle, right? I don't think anyone in this room is going to argue with that. But for every hype cycle, there is a little bit of truth in it. Hype doesn't happen without absolute truth. There is some truth in it. But we have to be very, very careful about the realities of the truth. So this is the Gartner's hype cycle. I'm only highlighting 4 different things in the hype cycle. Generative AI, a lot of inflated expectations last year. And people are waking up and realizing, it's not as easy as we thought. It's not as straightforward as we thought, right? People are realizing that there's a lot more work needs to be done. AI engineering as a field is relatively new. If you're building applications internally, you don't have all the tools necessary to solve the problems you need to solve today. So this is why building applications is very hard. AI applications is very hard. The more mature side is knowledge graphs. And this is the technology used in search engines. This is the technology you're going to see in our demo later, how you could use technologies like RAG and knowledge graphs to retrieve information and serve the right content to the right person at the right time. And intelligent applications are basically applications where AI is infused seamlessly. Those are on the mature side, right? We have been using AI-infused applications for a while, and we didn't even realize AI has been infused into it. So we have that. But we need to be a little skeptical and cautious about generative AI solutions. There's a lot of potential, but also there's a lot of unknowns at this point. This is one of the way I look at AI technology in general. We all have an access to a very, very powerful engine today. This engine can do a lot of promise. It's getting powerful by the day. We all have access to a Ferrari. Forget small engine. We have a Ferrari engine right now with us. But guess what? Ferrari engine doesn't drive by itself. What we need to do as an industry is build a car. To build a car, you need to think about tires, brakes, seat belts, headlights, air conditioning, steering wheel, radiator, so on and so forth. It's complex engineering. It's very tempting to think about an engine and think the engine is the product. The engine is not the product. You can put a small wrapper around the engine and make a toy car, but toy cars don't do 1,000 miles. They don't last your lifetime. We need to build a reliable car that can do the distance. That's engineering. That is classic engineering. That is not going away. And this is what a lot of companies are realizing, whether they're building products internally or even vendors who are new to the space, who are just starting out and drinking this hype about AI, and they're realizing, oh, there's a lot more engineering that needs to be done. It's not easy as you think. There is a reason we call large language models as large. There's clearly a large impact. Clearly, it's very disruptive to the industry, but also there's large cost and large risks. If you don't put the right security controls in place, data privacy controls in place, it is a huge risk for companies to use large language models, right? There has to be conscious, intended way of using your LLMs. And this is why CIOs are coming into the picture, because they care about security, they care about data privacy, and they want to do the risk mitigation. But that's not the only uncertainty with large language models. There's a lot more to it. What about real-world impact? What about ROI? Trillions of dollars are getting invested in artificial intelligence and large language models in the recent past. But it's unclear that whether we have received $1 trillion worth of ROI. A big question mark. We are investing this money right now with a promise, but the promise needs to deliver results. We need to think about quality and consistency. AI models are not just set in stone functionality. It's not like you do an AI model and you're done for the rest of the life. They need to be constantly maintained, nurtured. They need to be taken care of, like your engine, right? You need those regular maintenance. You have to think about how this AI technology seamlessly blends with your business processes. You need to think about how AI technology doesn't stick as a sore thumb and is seamless with your adoption of your teams. That requires a lot more work. It requires subject matter expertise. It requires engineering skills, not just technological skills. So, not surprisingly, in the industry, a lot of solutions that you are seeing, I would classify them as demoware. It's a ChatGPT wrapper. You can do demowares, and I'm sure some internal employees in your organization have shown you some demowares, right? We all have seen that. It's a toy car. It's great for a proof of concept. It doesn't drive the distance. And then you also seen vendors pitching vaporwares. This is coming soon. It's coming in the next 2 years. A lot of promises. Again, these are all, there's an element of truth in all of that. I don't want to disregard that truth. There is an element of truth. But very few products are there, what I would call as real wares, which produce real impact. And this is why the study on the Gartner on the right-hand side basically says the number one barrier for implementing AI is people don't know how to estimate the AI value. They don't know how the technology works. There's a lot of uncertainties, and that is something we are all overcoming as an industry. So, we took a very intent approach in this conference. We decided when we were to do this conference in person, at SupportLogic, we said, let's cut through the hype. This conference theme, if I were to summarize it, let's talk about real-world results. Let's cut through the hype. Let's talk about real-world results. Let's talk about real-world impact. So that's what we're going to do the rest of the day. I'm going to invite some guests on the stage today. We have achieved really great results with AI technology. But the rest of the track that we're going to talk about today, it's all about real-world impact and real-world results. We're going to do a product roadmap today. And I gave the guidance to the team saying, don't show anything that is not coming out in the next 90 days. That's all we're going to show today. We don't want to show demoware. We want to show stuff that's coming out, very tangible. So first thing, I want to play this video. One of our recent customer entity, I want to show how they're looking at AI, because we're talking about real-world results and real-world impact. So let me play this video for you.
At NTT Data, we are building a Gen AI and digital enterprise. It's AI for us, AI for our products, AI for our customers. When I say AI for us, it is basically making sure that we as NTT, with our technology solutions business, today we are supporting over 7,000 clients, over 2 million assets, over 60 to 100,000 tickets a year. This is complex. And what we are using is some of the latest technologies, be it Gen AI, be it data, be it analytics, absolutely help us drive innovation, drive the impact, and make sure that having scalable services across the world. So we use our data, and then we make a choice between build, buy, or partner. In this case, SupportLogic, they're a great technology or a platform that can help us drive quality. So what we have done in the current case with SupportLogic is to embed the AI quality assistant back into our systems. That will then help us to make sure that we are driving the change, making it more human-centric, making it more safe, making it more reliable for our clients then to consume the technology, at the same time help them improve the experience as we deliver the services.
That's Dilip Kumar, who is the Chief Digital Officer right now. I think he's a Chief CIO of NTT Data. Is talking about how he's looking at AI holistically. SupportLogic is a partner, and they're leveraging SupportLogic, but also looking at AI in a much more bigger, holistic fashion. Unfortunately, couldn't make it to the event. We have someone from NTT attending today, but we have a great partnership going on with NTT. But that's just a tip of the iceberg. The best companies have been in early adopters of AI. Despite all the hype that we are seeing in the industry, companies have been using AI for years. These are some of the companies that have adopted AI. And we have some companies which have been showcasing real-world impact for, I would say, like 6 years from now. And we'll talk about that very, very soon. So why these companies are looking at AI? Why these innovative companies are looking at AI? Fundamentally, it boils down to the point I was making earlier. This technology can reduce your operational cost increase your retention numbers while protecting customer experience. We all, as a support professionals, we care about customer experience, right? We don't necessarily think about retention numbers, not all the time. We don't necessarily think about operational cost, not all the time. We care deeply about making our customers happy. But here's the first time there's a technology that can do both. It can cut costs and also make your customers happy. It's a technology that can protect revenue and also help you to grow revenue. So with that, first I would like to invite Jenna Koons from Certinia. Jenna, please join me on the stage. That's right there. So Jenna, I was talking about real-world impact and real-world results. So for folks who are not familiar with Certinia, tell us a little bit more about the company and your role there.
Yeah, for sure. Hello, everyone. Great to be here. I lead our support organization globally, and Certinia is we build professional services, customer success, and ERP built natively on the Salesforce platform. And we have about 1,500 customers. Some of you are here in the room today, which is great to see. Philips, Dell, Informatica, HPE, and many more.
Awesome. Sonos, you are a relatively new customer of SupportLogic. Tell us what you have achieved with SupportLogic and a little bit of a story, like why even SupportLogic came in your radar.
Yeah, it's a great question. So we, like many of you in support and customer success in many of these spaces, we were struggling to sort of get ahead of the issues that we were encountering. We were in a constant reactive cycle. So we really wanted to take a step back and look at, where were our challenges, kind of identify the core issues. We set out to build, kind of a people process technology framework, if you will. Mm-hmm. So there are other elements outside of tool enablement that we looked at, certainly. We wanted to make sure we had clean handshakes, and between our structure, I quite like the slide that you showed with the, basically onboarding, support, professional services, customer success, ed services, customer experience, ops, all of those teams operating in sync, and that's the way we viewed it as well. Okay. So we wanted to build a structure that worked for all, and also encompassing the rest of the business, product, engineering, and other teams. So once we had that sort of foundational piece and handoffs and frameworks and methodologies in place, then we realized, well, we're still not quite there. We still are a bit reactive in how we're approaching issues and escalations. And by the time something hit our radar, it was almost too late. By that point, you have, you caused some reputational damage in some cases, mm-hmm. And lost credibility with the customer. And by the time you're getting a CSAT or an NPS score, it's a lagging indicator. So we needed to get in front of it, and that's what led us to SupportLogic. Okay. So we implemented it about a year ago, and it's been a phenomenal experience for us.
So tell us about the results you achieved. I have it on the screen.
Yeah. It's been, these numbers are actually just this year. So 30% year over year escalation percentage rate. That's versus our total case volume. 28% decrease in time to resolve, and 4.5 out of 5 on our CSAT scale.
So, Jala, you mentioned this offline to us, that this eventually became a boardroom conversation.
Yes.
So can you tell us how this became a topic of conversation at the boardroom? It
was so exciting for us to share this success story because the ROI is definitely there. And so for us to share the positive trend line relative to all of these numbers, and particularly our escalation rate, it enables us to operate far more efficiently and effectively and focus on elevating the customer experience. So, that's something obviously our board and our executive team are keen to stay focused on as a business priority for us.
Yeah. I love that, and always felt that support and customer success needs a big presence in the boardroom. We do this in our boardroom. We give updates on the support side, but generally board is so used to focus only on sales and growth, and I think that mentality is shifting now.
Absolutely.
Because they're realizing that retaining customers and protecting revenue is so important, and the biggest revenue source is your existing customer base once you achieve a certain scale, right?
Yes.
So there's definitely so glad to hear that on the board side.
Yes, absolutely. And it yields tremendous business results overall. I mean, it leads to retention and other aspects of the business. So it's well above support.
Yeah. So just one last question, Jenna. So what's next for Certinia, and how you seeing? You've achieved great results, and this year, what's next for you?
In terms of business priorities, we'll continue to focus on our people, our customers, and of course, operational efficiency and productivity will always remain a focus area. I think also for us, relative to Support Logic, we are evaluating and extending that capability into our customer success space now. And so here with me today is actually our customer success VP, as well as our leader of our renewals and our digital customer success team. So we're working together to try to figure out how these signals are working across a broader spectrum for our business. Yeah.
Pleasure having you, Jenna.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Next, I would like to invite Arnaud. Arnaud is coming to us all the way from Amsterdam. And so he told us he's a little jet lagged, hopefully not too jet lagged. Hopefully not. Nice to meet you, Arnaud.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So Arnaud, Basware is probably relatively a new brand name in the US. Tell us a little bit about the company's history. What do you guys do?
Yeah, so Basware is an accounts payable automation solution provider. And the microphone is working now, I guess. So an accounts payable solution automation solution provider. And actually, we also utilize AI and machine learning to provide touchless invoicing solutions to our customers. We have also many customers, and a few of them are very well-known brands, like, for instance, Heineken or Sony Music, Mercedes-Benz. I've been with the company for 14 years. In all those years, I've led multiple teams in, for instance, professional services, but also in support. And in my current role, I'm heading the support organization for the North America region, as well as for the APAC region and our partner teams.
Okay. Arnaud, so you became a customer of Support Logic, I believe a year now?
A year, correct, yes. We've been live for a year.
So tell us about your journey with Support Logic, and more importantly, what drove this initiative for having Support Logic in place? And my understanding is that Basware is owned by a private equity firm.
Correct, indeed. To that point, indeed. 2 years ago, we were acquired by a private equity investor, AKKR. And since then, we've been one of the largest AKKR portfolio companies. One of the good things that AKKR brought to us was the focus on our customers. And actually, in that journey, also the support organization has massively changed. We have transformed our support organization from a relative classic tiered, so first line, second line, third line support organization, into a regionalized customer-centric support organization. Mind you, that was quite a big change for us. Within the support organization, almost 70% of our staff actually changed Solid Line Manager. So, as you can imagine, that was quite a change for us.
Was the Basware always been in a subscription business, or was it a transition to subscription business?
Correct. So Basware itself is actually quite an old Finnish-based company. So originated from Finland. We are actually next year we're going to celebrate our 4th year's anniversary. So it's a really old company, if you like. And indeed, obviously over all those years we've been perpetual license based, and over the last few years we also made a change to the SaaS business.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been a journey as well.
Did that have an impact on your support operations, the pivot to
Correct.
a
Yeah,
subscription base?
that is inevitable almost. We obviously had to focus further on the customer experience. And indeed, admittedly, that was also something that we realized when we made the organizational change, but that wasn't good enough. We also needed technology change. So that's obviously where we started to look into AI-based technology, and decided to implement Support Logic to help us in that journey to become more customer-centric.
So Arnaud, I looked at your results and I was astounded by what you accomplished. We've been touting escalation reduction in the range of, at the low end, like 15% to 60% was Salesforce. I was amazed to see that you've reduced escalations by 80%. So can you walk us through your results?
Definitely, yeah, indeed. Like the results show, it's been a very, very good journey. The experience for us working with Support Logic has been very, very pleasant. Actually, I can even state that it's been instrumental in the success of the support organization. Basically, we went live almost a year ago, and when we started to measure the customer sentiment, indeed since then for our strategic customers, we've actually saw that 72% of those strategic customers actually have improved customer sentiment, and we also have a segment of VIP customers, which actually constitute of a million plus ARR, and in that segment we even have 93% of them having an improved. But more importantly, because that's for many of the support organizations an important one is the escalations. Obviously, it was mentioned today as well already. The escalations are relatively expensive. And in the US region, so in other words, my responsibility, there we have seen a reduction of 80% of escalations. That was all due to, obviously, with the help of Support Logic, we've been able to implement a good set of rules with some processes around it to catch those escalations early. And that has proven to be very, very worthwhile, as you can see.
So Arnaud, we always say this, right? And veterans in the support industry will say this. It's always people, process, and technology. Correct. It's not just technology. It's not just process. It's not just people. It's a combination working in unison. Can you tell us about, you were telling me offline about product-centric support versus customer-centric support. Can you tell us a little bit more about it? Because I thought that terminology was pretty interesting.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. So indeed, like you said, we were focused on product. So we had specialists around product. In our, as I said, all of the decades of support that we already had, we wanted to shift that to that customer experience, the support experience. And as I said, that the combination of technology together with a better organization, that proved to be a very powerful combination. And obviously that already leads to success. And mind you, we're still on the journey. Yeah, I mean, we don't consider that we're already on the platform. We still have a long way to go. We still have other functionality to implement. Yes, and obviously we're definitely going to keep on going.
Do you have any advice for folks who want to make an impact like this? What would you recommend them?
Yes, I would obviously focus on obviously making your organization ready for this, focusing on the right metrics. Admittedly, we had done homework already to get a good set of metrics in place, so we knew which metrics we want to improve and want to work on. Then obviously try to actually use those metrics to showcase in your organization. So basically also use, for instance, exactly. Yeah. So that's really been instrumental, and that is obviously where we want to continue to focus on.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in flaunting metrics internally and show the metrics every time you have a meeting. Like, this is where we stand, and that makes a significant difference.
Makes also the support staff happier, as you like. I think that's really instrumental as well. That people feel, that they're actually achieving something, and that they are actually improving the customer experience, and for that matter also helping with churn and very important.
Yeah, very glad to
Yeah.
have you, Anat.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Last but not least, I would like to invite Carlos from HPE. Carlos, for folks who may know in Silicon Valley, is the author of this book, The Immigration Survival Guide. He was most recently awarded the Hispanic Technology Executive Council's the top 100 influential technology leaders in the Hispanic community. Carlos, pleasure to have you here. Carlos, for folks within HPE, you're not a stranger. I was told that you are so used to speaking to a crowd size of 5,000 or more all the time within HPE organization. Tell us a little bit more about HPE. So it's a well-known brand, and everybody knows what an HPE is. We don't need an introduction for HPE, but people may not fully know about all the business units within HPE. If you can tell us a little bit about that and your role, that'd be great.
Good morning, everybody. Before we get into that, congratulations on your first, and hopefully I can be back for your 10th. So congrats to you, man.
Yeah, thank you.
So, did anybody heard of HP before? So for those of you folks that may not know, in 2015, HP split into two different companies. We call it the Blue Dot. HP Inc. continues to sell consumer-grade products, so printers, laptops, monitors. And then HPE, I like to say, does all the cool stuff. So we do all like the cloud computing, network infrastructure. Shout out to my Aruba folks in the crowd, right? As well as storage, right? And so in 2015, the company split. And so within HPE, we have what we call the hybrid cloud business. We have the intelligent edge that focuses on networking and that kind of stuff. And then we have also the computing space and then there's an AI overlay on top of all of that.
What's your role, Carlos? I know you started with Aruba Networks, and now you have a much broader scope within HPE. Can tell us about your title of your role and what you're trying to do within HPE?
Yeah, so similar like you, I also come from a support background. I was a former support engineer and kind of worked my way up in the ranks. I predominantly worked in startup organizations as a support engineer, and then going into support leadership. I ran global escalations, and so I always say, it takes a special breed of human to be waiting for that phone call from a very pissed off customer. And that's your day job, right? And so when I joined Aruba in 2017, actually, it was my first non-startup company. I actually, previous to that, worked in a number of startups, one of which was doing a big data analytics, machine learning, and AI solution, actually, and we were doing a solution for Aruba Networks. And when HPE had gotten acquired, or Aruba had gotten acquired by HPE, my startup was actually losing its contract. And so I had the opportunity to actually join Aruba in the global services organization to continue the efforts to be able to drive some of this big data analysis in the support space, which you're very familiar with, to try to drive more efficiencies in support and specifically try to drive more self-serviceability. So just quick show of hands, how many folks here on the services side of the house? Awesome. Customer success? Awesome. Customer experience? Love it. This is my audience. So the reason I asked that is because, my role has been the result of a bunch of evolution. So when I started at HPE, I actually started in the Aruba business unit in the services side of the house, as kind of the behind the curtain person who was trying to find ways to connect business process technology, like we talked about, to drive efficiencies. And I would say over the first 4 or 5 years, we birthed, as part of the digital transformation work that we're doing, we birthed the first ever customer success program inside of Aruba. And so you have this former support person now evolving into driving customer success at this company. And the reality is, for most of those that are here in customer success, know that it's kind of that next step of evolution from customer support, where you're going from more reactive stuff to now trying to build consistency, build playbooks, and do that. And I would say about 2 years ago, on the back of the work that the team did in building out customer success, we were actually recognized by the company because, we also didn't have budget. A lot of the metrics that you showed there, we didn't show up with a bunch of budget to go build a customer success team. So we actually started with a very, I would say, grassroots approach around a digital-first approach to customer success. So we didn't have CSMs. And at the time, I know Jacques Razdell's here. At the time, when I would present some of this stuff at TSIA, I was actually critiqued, not by TSA, but my fellow colleagues, because I was talking about this work that we had done in building digital first customer success. They're like, well, that's not customer success. You don't have a CSM. That's tech support, right? And then COVID hit, and now everybody needed to do more with less. And then all of a sudden, this digital CS swarm thing became a thing, and so we did that. So now, what happens is the evolution, right? I sometimes have been on stage saying customer success is dead, but I need to put an asterisk there for the folks that are here. I feel like customer success, as we knew it in the past, has shifted a lot. I think the industry has grown. I think it's customer success has evolved from being a standalone department to some of those capabilities being built into the rest of the business, right? And so when I look at my role and my transition, I went from being a services and support leader to then maybe a customer success leader, which I actually call more of a transformation leader, where the product of the transformation was customer success. And now all of those capabilities that we've developed as customer success leaders are now being adopted by the rest of the business to go in and drive that single experience, right? And so the slide that you show where you have all these different functions and then the CX piece is super relevant. And so today, my role in the company is I'm the VP of Customer Experience and Digital Strategy, which is really the evolution of having customer success only living in services and now bringing that mindset of the support person, of the success person into the rest of the business, into demos, to trials, to all the other pieces of the puzzle, and then bringing all those signals together that can actually help the support engineer later on, right?
So Carlos, I just want to flash this. HP Aruba is one of the early customers of SupportLogic. I think we've been customers, Aruba has been customers of SupportLogic since 2018 or 2019, I believe, so 5-6 years. And this is what I was saying earlier, that a lot of companies have been using AI for years, and they're seeing tremendous results for years. So the real world impact, the real world stories exist. It's not just something that only companies have achieving in the last 2 years. We showed 2 companies that have achieved in the last 2 years, but we have companies using it for many years. Now with the HP's multiple business units, we are with Aruba Networks, Nimble Storage, and Zerto. What's the big picture? How do you see the CX initiative at a large scale? Because when customers are buying products from your different business units, they still want a unified experience, right? They may buy Aruba Networks routers and HP servers, and they may use some cloud service offering. How do you stitch together all this experience?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we've also evolved from our experience journey. I remember, when we first joined Aruba, one of the first things that you learn is the Aruba model, which is customer first, customer last, right? That has actually been the kind of initial experience mantra that we adopted when I joined the company. Then eventually we evolved to very similar, right? Experience is everything, right? That actually became one of the big themes of the leadership summit that we had a couple of years ago. Well, now what it's morphed into is experience is everywhere. And that kind of goes back to your slide, which is, experience isn't just the folks that are touching the end customer. It's in everything that we do. And so for me, when I took on this role as the experience leader, I made sure that people understood when we talk about customer, there's multiple customers. You have the end customer, which is the first one that we think about. But as we're developing all these capabilities, we have to think about the internal customer, right? We have a lot of folks that are servicing our customers that also need that better experience. When I used to run Global Tech, I used to tell my support engineers, I want to be able to hear you smile through the phone. And the only way you accomplish that is by bringing the right data into them. So that example you gave of the scrape of the interaction and bringing in those insights into somebody that's actually about to engage with the customer is huge. And so to close on this, right, it's really how can we go in and take some of this goodness that's been built in the support world and the services world about driving that better experience, and how can we bring the rest of the company along that journey and have what we now call kind of this journey to one, the journey to one experience. Customers shouldn't know when supply chain ends and services begins, right? At the end of the day, we're all one company. It's a huge challenge, as you can imagine. We have different business units, so customers can buy stuff on our side. They can buy stuff from Nimble. They can buy stuff from Aruba. They can buy stuff, from our server side. But at the end of the day,
and also you keep acquiring companies.
And we keep acquiring companies. So you want to have that same brand, right? And so for us, I feel very fortunate in the role that I have today because I'm very proud of the experience that I bring from the services side of the house, because to your point, a lot of times support is not always brought to the table.
Right.
And so I would say a lot of that comes with Antonio, our CEO, is also a former support person, right? He actually started as a support person in HPE and worked his way up, and he's now CEO. So I feel like we have a lot of support now from the services perspective to bring that lens into everything that we do.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. And I first heard that Antonio, your CEO, is a support person. Like, it's extremely rare to see a public company CEO grew up in the ranks in support and became the CEO. So bringing that customer centricity mindset and basically championing that experience is everything within the organization, which is great. One last question for you. We know that it's a complex org. HP is a complex org. It's a 30, 40-year-old company. How do you make a change and impact?
Yeah.
Now, one thing I really admire about what you do at HP is that you brought change. You brought the startup mentality within a large company. Any advice you want to share to the crowd? Like, because a lot of the leaders here want to make an impact like what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
What is your advice for them?
Yeah, it's awesome to have my folks here from the Aruba side. When Aruba got acquired by HPE, one of the big concerns is like, we're going to lose this startup culture, right? We're going to lose this mentality. Obviously, you can imagine a company of 55, 60,000 people. There's a lot of politics and bureaucracy that happen. And the two folks that I have here in the room with me, I think were co-pioneers of making sure that didn't happen, right? And we've fought a lot to, for those of you guys that aren't aware, Aruba's colors are orange and HPE's colors are green. And so we fought for the orange quite a bit, right? And honestly, I feel very fortunate because we had a lot of support from leadership. And to your point, till this day, one of the key values of Aruba was we want to still become the biggest, we want to stay the biggest small company. So let's go in and keep that same startup mentality in everything we do. And so I would say that since moving from the Aruba side over to the HPE side, that's still not lost on me. And I think that's actually what has actually helped us have a level of success, is that when we go into these conversations with folks that have been at HPE for 15, 20 years, I get comments like, wow, like it's like a breath of fresh air, right? Because we go into everything with a very collaborative spirit. I ask people to always assume good intent. We're not there to build our empire. We're trying to go in and actually do fun stuff. And so one of the things I always say is, people don't destroy what they help build. And so as my team starts engaging cross-functionally with other organizations at the HPE, the first conversation is always very kind of bland. Like, it's almost like, hey, what's this guy gonna do now? Like, how many toes is he gonna step on? And for me, it's almost like, look, like, how can we go in and leverage the scale that you guys have, the power that you guys have? But let's people are open-minded about how we can leverage that to do something different. And we work on really, really cool stuff. And so I would say in almost every one of the engagements that my team has gotten involved in, there's a lot of hesitancy at the beginning, but somewhere in the middle, something clicks and people start seeing the awesomeness of the opportunity that we have to build something different. And then the beautiful part is when the project is delivered and everybody gets recognition, and you end up on stages like this with a fictitious character that's not brand approved, that you just said, I'm going to do this anyway to drive digital engagement, and people can start associating yourself to that. All of a sudden, it makes the next conversation with the next team that you want to work with even better, because you've now established this brand of, you're changing the way the company works. You're actually getting a lot of recognition for the work that you're doing. And I always say two things is, I ask for forgiveness, not permission, and I built Trojan horses. And what I mean about the Trojan horses is, I said one of the things that's helped me a lot is, rather than taking the age-old approach of putting together a proposal, presenting it, and taking all the arrows and all the million reasons of why it's not going to work and budgets and stuff, is I go and I build a small village of relationships and say, you know what? Let's go build this in a very, very small pilot. Let's not tell a whole lot of people about it, because they're going to tell us, cybersecurity, all this other stuff. Obviously, we protect that, but we don't ask for a lot of opinions. We just go and say, should we do this? And we go and we build it in a small scale. And this is what I tell people, right? At the next thing you know, people are standing in the shadow of the Trojan horse. They're like, what's that? You pull the cover back, and now they can't tell you can't, because you already did, right? And so that's kind of the way that my team operates. Is we've now morphed since leaving Aruba. I feel like Aruba was almost, it continues to be our showcase of the art of the possible, right? Aruba still has a very much, startup collaborative mentality. And I continue to point to the stuff that Aruba has done and continues to do. And in reality, it's 2 to 3 years ahead of the rest of the HPE.
Yeah.
And so I create that healthy competition and saying, I can help you guys get there too. And I have the opportunity to really highlight the work that Aruba is doing and bring a little bit of orange over to the green.
Carlos, we can talk for hours, and you have a lot of wisdom. I highly encourage people to get as much wisdom from Carlos and how he has impacted change. Thank you for...
Thanks so much.
Yeah,
Congrats again.
So the real-life customer stories that we heard from companies like HPE, from Basper and Certinia has really inspired me, and I've been working on this project for the last 1.5 years. So I'm really, really excited to share a little bit of a personal accomplishment, if you will, is I'm launching my book today. It's a book titled Support Experience. And you can get a free copy of the book we're going to have it outside. You can get a free copy of the book. The book, we are really focusing on real world stories, how companies have made an impact using artificial intelligence. I'm telling stories about companies like Snowflake and Google, companies like Apple, companies like Rubrik, and many, many other stories are covered in this. The key inspiration for this is our customer stories. We live and die for our customer stories. This is the number one thing we care about within Support Logic. We want customer success stories. You would see in the conference flow that you will see the love wall from our customers. This is what we aspire to build more. I know that's what you want to build for your own customers, and that's the theme of this conference. So as we walk through the history of what we've done, right, at Support Logic, we started with deep sentiment analysis as our initial use case. And what we mean by deep sentiment analysis is we didn't want a binary sentiment analysis, positive and negative sentiments. We wanted to go a little deeper into what the customers are actually telling about your product, your service, and the way you are treating them. We've taken that core and we've added several new functionality over the years. Today we have capabilities to route the case to the right support engineer, the right subject matter expert in the company. We have capabilities to give coaching advice for your agents who are interacting with customers. We've added capabilities to assist your support engineers, right? Whether it's language assist, whether it's translation assist, whether it's answer assist, we have added all those capabilities. We also have a capability now to bring this technology to your customer portal. And we are going to showcase all of that at this conference today. And you're going to see a live demo. I know live demo is always a risky thing to do in a conference with a not so best Wi-Fi. But the team, the chief product officer today is going to do a live demo. He was very insistent on doing a live demo. And this is because the conference focus is realware. We don't want to talk about demoware and slidewares. So we're going to make a couple of new product announcements today. The first one is we're launching Support Logic Expand. It's a new module within the Support Logic offering. This is a module that gives you intelligence signals at the account level, not at the case level anymore. We can give you an account health score. We can give you churn risk. We can give you competitive threats. So we actually parse for competitive threats in the customer interactions. We'll give you expansion opportunities. We'll give you price sensitivity, license upgrades and downgrades. We are extracting a lot more signals focused on the account health. It's not just about the support health anymore. We're going to see a demo of this very soon. And the second big announcement we're making is we are officially announcing integration, native integration with a bunch of telephony providers. So if you're using Amazon Connect, if you're using Service Cloud Voice, if you're using 8x8, if you're using NICE, we have native integration within those telephony systems. We have a roadmap to add more, but again, we're not talking long-term roadmaps here. We're talking about what's out there today. This is available today. You can do this integration. What that means is if a call comes to your agent and it comes through any of this telephony system, will automatically intercept that call, will automatically transcribe the call, we automatically extract signals from the call. We use those signals also for escalation prediction and everything else we do on our platform. So this is native integration. We're super excited to launch, and we're going to see a demo of that as well. So last one I want to cover is we fundamentally believe in people, process, and technology. We don't just believe in technology being the success, right? So we don't like the idea of giving you software and walk away from you. We operate like a fully managed service. This is the founding vision of Support Logic. It still is the way we operate. So everything from when you become a customer, we spin up a dedicated infrastructure for you. It's a dedicated machine learning model. It's SOC 2 certified, HIPAA certified, CCPA certified. If you want to host infrastructure in a geolocation of your choice, we can do that. And we've done that for customers. It's a fully integrated solution. We firmly believe that you don't want to have disparate tools. All these tools need to talk to each other seamlessly. So that's one of the big focus area for us, how we build our software. And again, it's a very differentiated technology. We don't believe in cookie cutter machine learning models. We don't believe in something that works for everyone and doesn't do a well enough job for anyone. We have created a machine learning model very, very domain specific. It's meant for B2B complex support. B2B complex support has a lot of complexities in terms of the language patterns customers use. Often people interleave machine language with natural language. You should be able to parse that. You would have email headers and footers. You have signature blocks. All of these are messy data. And our machine learning models are trained for that messy data. And then we have deep domain expertise. We infuse a domain expertise in our workflows. But also, we extend this domain expertise when you're talking to our customer success team or a support team, right? We firmly believe that we need to share our knowledge of the industry to our customers, not just our software. But last but not least, we also have a community. This is one of the community events. We do these events, but we have a virtual community online. It's called SX Live. You can go to sxlive.com. You can join the community. That's a community where we talk about support best practices. We talk about not just Support Logic product, we talk about industry trends, because we firmly believe that we can learn a lot from each other. So with that, my closing thought here is this, right? With all the hype about AI, with all the hype about chatbots and virtual agents and whatnot, I think the fundamental thing we shouldn't lose focus on is all this technology exists to service human beings. I firmly believe the future of AI is more human than ever. Doesn't matter whether you use chatbot. Doesn't matter whether you're using human agents to service a customer. End of the day, you're doing all of this to service another human being who has a need, and their problem needs to be solved. I think that perspective should not be lost. Sometimes we get caught up with the technology hype and we miss the big picture, right? End of the day, this is what we are doing. This is why we're using technology. The enemy of support is scale. That's why you use technology. It's very difficult to do support, high quality support at scale. And that's where technology comes into play. That's when you can service and give a high quality human centric support at scale with technology. I think that's a focus I want all of us to internalize, because we foundationally believe in that. With that, I'm going to leave the stage to Karan Sood, who's a Chief Product Officer at Support Logic. Karan comes from a very deep background in support, and he used to run product management at SAP for their SAP Service Cloud and Sales Cloud product lines. Karan, welcome to the stage. Looking forward to your demo. Thank you all.